Hey folks, I'm the Amazing Vito, and today I'm talking to Mr. Mike Bullard. Uh, he's bent out of shape because he's dealing with his laptop, and we had to do it on his phone, which he is not happy about. I wouldn't be either. And
I could have driven to your house by now. I could have driven to your house
no,
by now.
I know.
You're 80 miles away. I could have driven to your house. I'd be sitting in your room having a coffee, which is the
I
way I like to do interviews.
I know. I apologize about that. I suck at technology too. I know. I know this is like I've been frustrated like you, Mike, and especially with the way things are. I'd be pissed off because I know that you're not happy with the way it looks. People, he looks great. Okay, he's just pissed off that
I
he's
never
on
care
his
about it.
he's on his phone. Okay, so um,
I never care about how I look. I just don't want to look like a moron.
you don't look like a moron. Stop it. Just you look fine. You look
Hey, you
fine.
know what? I'm not looking for propping up. I'm just telling you that this new technology is bullshit. I like the time when you drove to a radio station, you walked in, you sat in the studio with the guy, or you drove to a television station, or you even drove to a guy's house, sat down and talked to him.
Mike,
That's where I'm from.
Mike, I'm with you. I
In
I
other words,
know.
what I'm telling you is I don't have Asperger's, and that's now a detriment to my life. You know what I mean? This stuff's all great for people with Asperger's.
This is
Um,
Mike. It took me forever to like to learn just the basics. I suck at technology. Okay, you're not alone. Okay, I had a guy have to walk me through step by step by step.
oh, I know I'm not alone. I'm just the
No,
only
you're not,
person.
Mike. I'm with
I'm
you.
just one of the only people on the face of the earth who
I
admits that I'm not good at
I
technology.
admit it, Mike. I admit it. I'm terrible at it.
Well,
Okay.
that's two of us, because I'll tell you, everybody else I know acts like they know everything.
No, they don't. Well, there's one guy I was trying to get a hold of that is like a techie guy, but of course, whenever you really need him, uh, he's never around. He'll call you around 6 o'clock, going, "Hey, what's the problem?" So, all right, it's fine. Fuck it. It's fine. Okay. So, all right. So, Mike, real quick, people that don't know, Mike Bullard, one time, and he will rise like a phoenix back to um being. He was number one in Canada. Number one, he was beating Leno. Fuck, you name it. He was beating everybody when he had the talk show, and that was 2004. It ended. It was from 97 to 2004, and it was an awesome show. We'll get into that in a bit, but that's how how everybody, when you think of Mike Bullard, you think of the Mike Bullard late night show, and it was the first successful Canadian talk show. There were so many people that tried, but Mike,
Can you hear me?
yes, I hear you. I hear you.
Oh,
So,
okay.
uh, so
No, what I'm saying is there were no taxpayer dollars involved, and I had a lot less to work with than the American late night talk shows.
oh, I
My
know.
budget, my nightly budget was about equal to what Letterman and Leto's green room snack tray budget was. You know what I mean?
Yes. No, I
Yeah.
know,
So
but
we
it
didn't have a lot.
but it looked mint, man. You had like some huge names come through there.
Oh yeah, there were some good people.
You had,
A lot of people started to come on the show the second, third, fourth year.
oh God, I remember. Yeah, I remember when Don Cherry came out and just told people like, wake up, like this is an awesome show. Like it was just a
Yeah, you
wonderful.
know how I got. You want to know how I got him?
Huh?
We asked him to come on the show 3 times, and he said no. And
Why?
then one day I was out shoveling my driveway in Mississauga, and this black pickup truck pulled up to the school across the road, let a kid out. And then the truck pulled into my driveway, and the window came down, and it was him.
No
And
way.
he said, uh, he said, "Is that you, Bullard?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, Oh, I thought you lived in Rosedale. I said, yeah, I do, Don. I just come out here to shovel driveways to make ends meet. So then he kind of laughed and he said, I didn't know you were from Mississauga. I said, I've been from Mississauga almost all my life. I said, I don't live downtown. He goes, oh, I thought you lived in Rosedale with the assholes I work for. I go, no, I don't. He said, you know what? Have your people call me this afternoon. I'll be on the show tomorrow. And that's what happened.
Yeah,
So
that
that's
was,
why I'm sharing. I think the thing that turned the corner for me was getting Dennis Leary. I worked with him in somewhere in New York. I can't remember where. And he was in town doing, I don't know what it was called then. Was it called the ACC then? I'm not sure.
no,
No,
it
he was
wasn't.
doing Massey Hall. He was doing Massey Hall for the No Cure for Cancer tour. And he called me at the
Right.
show and said, hey, how come you didn't ask me to be on the show tonight? I said, oh, sorry, Dennis. I didn't know if you'd even remember working with me. He goes, I remember. He goes, I want to come and do the show. And that was like the second week. First week, we couldn't get the so-called Canadian stars on. Dennis Leary comes on and does one night, and all of a sudden they're all calling one to be on the show.
Yeah,
Which,
that's the way it works. I mean, that's just it's Mike. It's just that's the way it works. It's like people
no,
watch.
I know that's the way it works. I'm just telling you that anytime anybody asks me to do something afterwards, I didn't wait to see who had been on the show first,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know. And that was kind of an eye opener for me. It was also told me why we don't have a star system here.
Well,
Because most of the people who are stars in this country prior to me doing that show are news people. They're the only ones who are on TV every night.
unless
And go
unless
ahead.
unless you're on this hour has too many minutes, then you're on that for 35 years.
Yeah, I got them, and I got I got all those people, and eventually got Red, Green, and all that jazz. But the other issue these people had was, you know, they wanted to come on as Red, Green. They wanted to come on as their character from whatever show they were on. And I went, no, that's not how it works.
Yeah,
For
yeah,
fuck's sakes, watch an American talk show and then come on.
yeah.
And once they realized that and started coming on as themselves, you want to show a clip of you in an outfit, that's fine. I don't care. Show a clip from your show, but I want you to come on as yourself.
Yes.
And it took a long time for them to realize that, but finally they did.
Yeah, but you know
And
what?
as bad as things have gone for Don the past couple of years, I got to credit him at that time. I really owe him for that. It was hard for me to watch him go through what he went through, but the bottom line is, I'll tell you this much: if you're 85 years old and you're worth like 20 million bucks, and you're still sticking around, you're in the wrong. I don't care what you do, you're in the wrong. Same whole held true for Regis Philbin. You got that kind of money and you're that old, get off TV. And I'm
Yeah.
not kidding about
No,
it.
I know, Mike.
If I'd been on American TV for 8 years with the kind of money that pays, by the time that was done, you never would have seen me again. I
Yeah,
would
I
have
know, but
disappeared.
I think the thing with Don Cherry, to me, it was more of it was kind of an institution. I grew up watching Don Cherry. I remember, I mean, I don't watch when I watch a Leaf game, um first intermission, I just change a channel. I don't care what the panel has to say. It doesn't do any, it's not coach's corner to me. I remember being in Montreal during the playoffs and being at a bar. I remember dancing with this hot broad, a woman, I mean, and all of a sudden they turned the sound down and Coach's Corner came on. And that's how big Coach's Corner was.
Yeah, but you know what? That's their fault for not grooming somebody to take his place.
Well,
That's the bottom
I,
line. And there were lots of people here who could have taken his place.
yes,
There were lots of good
they,
people who,
they tried. Remember, it's Stephanopoulos. Remember,
no,
remember,
they tried. George Strombolopoulos is when they changed things completely.
right?
And that was a bad move. What I'm saying is there were lots of people in sportscasting who were witty, who were fun, who could be controversial, who should have been groomed to take his place 15 years ago. And they didn't do it. And I'll tell you something, the abject stupidity of television executives in this country can't be overestimated. I mean,
I
I've dealt with a lot of them.
Yeah, but Mike,
And
to me, he just seemed he loved, his passion was hockey. Uh I liked him. And
well,
it
like
was just
I said to you a couple of minutes ago, I owe him for life for what he did for me. and I like him a lot. I still do. But you got to know when it's done.
Right,
And
right,
when you're 85, it's done.
right, right.
Don't wait for a moment where everybody's going to get, and I told you so. You know, when he did the thing with the poppies, don't wait for that. Have a party, get a watch, have a cake, leave. That's the way it should work.
I know, Mike, but I just think he enjoyed going into work. You know what I mean? Like, I think he's just one of those guys. He's like my dad. Like, he just works, right? He's not going to sit around and,
Yeah. But by the same token, Rogers was wrong. They put that on the Western feed. They put that on the Western feed later on. They let that go out again.
on
So
purpose,
what?
though.
Don't kid yourself. They're not that smart. I don't know what you're thinking. You think they did that on purpose so
I
they could
do.
nail him?
I think they
Yeah, I've
want.
heard that from other people too.
I
And
think
it's all
Mike, I think they wanted him out for years, and this was
they
a way
wanted him out
to
for
get him out.
years, but they did that. They did not. They didn't notice. I'm telling you, they didn't notice. Just like Ron didn't notice, they didn't notice, and they put it out. You're giving them way too much credit if you think they were smart enough to put that out so they could get him. I told you before, some of the dumbest people I ever met are TV executives. And I'm telling you, there's no way. There was nobody at the switch. Nobody. You know?
Well, I don't know. To me, he just, I'm not gonna, this, I personally like them and I miss them. That's all. I miss them. It was just,
No, there's things about him I miss too, but you're missing my point, Vito. My
I
point
know what
is
you're saying, Mike. I know what you're saying.
when you're 85 and you've made a fortune and you've made your mark in the world, be unselfish enough to make room for somebody younger to come
Right.
in and carry on the tradition.
Right.
Because anything else is egomania.
Yeah, I see your point. I totally understand what you're saying, but I would still, me personally, when first intermission is over,
I got it. I got what you mean.
I'd still be watching Coach's Corner. I don't, that's just me. Okay, so I think why things changed for your show was the Canadian psyche. The Canadian psyche was, like you said, where Tom Green would show up as Tom Green. If you had a wrestler, they'd show up as their character as a wrestler. Things changed when you said, yes, just come out as yourself. And that's what people were craving in Canada for. And they loved it. It was a point where it was just, I remember coming out of the show, and I don't know if this is true or not, but a guy told me, my buddy Johnny Bovicic, who loved, he's a fan of yours, and he brought me down to the show, and he said that you do not. Is this true? I don't know if this is true, but if I see you perform, I can't be in the audience watching you again. You know what I mean? Is that true? Like if I see you do stand up and then no, all right, so that's a made up thing. What do you
think? I looked at pictures of everybody coming in and said who could come in and who couldn't. No way.
No, yeah, that's it. But no, like if they saw your act, you thought it was bad, like it was gonna screw you up. If
Man, I only had one rule: don't pass on the stairs on a show day.
Okay, good.
Superstition.
I remember how. All right, so that's a bullshit story. So yeah, there's.
I can give you a million. I can give you a million bullshit stories. Nobody's ever done coke with me.
Right.
I've never done drugs in my life. No one's ever gotten drunk with me in a bar, even though there's hundreds of people out there who say they have.
Right.
And I'll tell you that didn't happen because I'm a lifelong abstainer.
Right.
So when I hear these stories, it makes me laugh like crazy because I just go, no, it's not true.
Right.
I have people contact me on Facebook all the time and go, I got hammered with you in a bar in Montreal 10 years ago. We had a great time together. No, you didn't. And no, I don't know who you are.
Yeah, that's the wrong mic, my friend. Like, yeah, that's weird. But I remember how cool you were. You would come out, after you were done the show, you would come out and just greet everybody. And I thought that was so.
I always did that. I always went downstairs, thanked the audience for coming, all that jazz. You know why? Because I had a real job.
Yeah.
There's no substitute for having a real job. I had a real job during my entire stand-up career, and it was a career. I was at Bell. I rose pretty high up in the company. And no matter what one-nighters I had to be up at 5:30 in the morning to be in the office. I could be in Timmins till 1 o'clock in the morning. I had to drive straight home, get up in the morning and go to the office. So that's the one thing with me. When it comes to real people and their real jobs, I got great respect for them. And if somebody takes the time to come and see me, even to this day, I got nothing but respect for what they did. And I deeply, deeply appreciate it. And I felt that way on the show. I used to tell the crew on the show and everybody else, you guys are on a 4-hour call. You're making 120 grand a year on a 9-month shoot, and you get to leave here and go and do other jobs. I said, I don't want to hear any bitching here. I don't want to hear I'm tired. I don't want to hear, you have no idea how tough this is, because it's not. I'm doing this full time now. I said, I hear people talking about doing a nightly talk show and saying how exhausting it is. It is nothing compared to what I did for a living and what I did at the same time at night. So that was the only thing I said to people who I worked with, who I'm still friends with today. Don't bitch at me about what you're doing here, because this is nothing compared to the real world. Nothing.
But Mike, when the show was going, that must have been like I would dream to have a show like that, and many other people would have dreamed to have a show.
So did I.
How no, but yes, but that you did it. But how did the day start? Like just say when you started rocking. Okay, just give me a scenario.
Today didn't start till 11 o'clock for everybody.
Okay.
And as far as I was concerned, that might have been 2 in the afternoon. 11 o'clock in the morning to me, when I only had the show to do, was hilarious, because I was used to being up at 5:30 every morning for 20 years.
Right.
And to me, that alone was a lottery win. Not having to do a gig the night before and be up at 5:30 in the morning. And the day would start at 11. I would meet with the writers. We would go over a bunch of stuff that we were thinking of doing, have our little arguments, all that other bullshit. And then we would all go our separate ways, wherever we were going to write, get back together around 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Then I had the segment producers who were in charge of the guests. And then they would come in, and Keith Tomasek was the best one we ever had. He was the only one who really got it, which is get a big name, put him on the show, never mind the paperwork. He used to get on him all the time about his paperwork, but he got the big name guests. And they used to get on him all the time. Somebody threatened to fire him because of his paperwork. I said, I'll tell you what, don't fucking fire him. He's the guy who gets the people recognize. Get somebody else to dot his I's and cross his T's. Get somebody else to do his paperwork. I'm not losing this guy. And he was also the only one who knew that the key to a good guest was, if a guest looks good, you look great, get the guest to tell a story. And that's what he did. And the guy was great at
it. The thing that a lot of people say about you, like the comics, they say that you're very loyal to people. You're very you don't stab them in the back.
Are you there?
Yeah, you just froze. You looked like you had Bell palsy there for a minute.
No, there's something going on with this stupid internet, which is what I told you about 40 minutes ago.
I know.
I said Keith Tomasek is teaching either at Western University or some college out there. What's the name of the college out there in London?
Fan shop.
I think he's a fan shop.
Yeah, but what I was saying is, a lot of people, I don't think you heard me, a lot of comedians have said that you are very loyal to them, like a very loyal person.
Yeah, we didn't pay actors and actresses because they were there to promote a movie, promote a TV show. And we didn't pay bands because the record companies paid for them to be there, and they were promoting an album. Right. When stand-up comics came on the show, I insisted they be paid. It did not go over well with CTV. It did not go over well with the production company. But I said, there's no way a comic's coming on the show to burn material without getting paid money. And I was serious about it. And I drew a line in the sand on that. And I didn't let anybody fuck around with it. Because as far as I was concerned, they get screwed all the time. And to get $500 to be in town to do 5 minutes, to me, was something they'd want to do and something that was good for them. You know,
Right.
and it was important to me.
Who was the worst guest you ever had?
Probably the worst person was Mary J. Blige.
Who?
Mary J. Blige.
Mary J.
You
Blige.
know,
Why
she
would
had an entourage that came early in the day, and they had a great time with us. They were downstairs with us playing pool, goofing around. The moment she walked in the building, the temperature went down 10 degrees. And she just brought a really bad foreshadowing to the show. And she was upset because the host wasn't black. She was really upset because the host wasn't black. And I thought to myself, Jesus, you've done Letterman a million times. You've done Leno a million times. But you come to Canada and you expected the host to be black?
she thought the host was black? She
She
expected
wanted the host to be black. She was upset that the host wasn't black.
Oh, wow.
You know, so obviously she A, knew nothing about the show before she even came, and B, you know, was obviously looking for trouble where there wasn't any. And Orrin Isaacs, the band leader and basically my co-host, really told her where to get off. So by the time she was on the show, that you could have cut the tension with a knife.
Right.
But you know, we got rid of her. I mean, she did the show, she left, that was it. Brian Adams, probably second worst.
Really?
You know, yep. Didn't like his attitude, didn't like the way Mark Patterson, our guitar player, was looking at his sheet music because we were going to go to commercial after the first segment with Adams. And Adams on the air turned to him and said, hey, you want to practice on your own time? Don't practice on mine. And he embarrassed Mark. I mean, we were on the air.
Yeah.
So what's that song you did? Summer of '69. What's it called?
Summer of '69, is it not?
Yeah. So I immediately turned to him and said, hey, that song of yours, Summer of '69, you were 7 years old. Do you want to tell me what band hired you? And after that, things did not go well between us, and I didn't do a second segment with him. And when we went downstairs after the show, he was down there. I said, you know what? You're not getting a limo right back to the hotel. Figure out how to fucking get back on your own. And he couldn't believe it because nobody talked to him that way. But I didn't like the way he talked to Mark. I didn't like the way he embarrassed him on the air.
Well, that's how
And Mark,
you always stick up for people that work for you.
you know what? You're trained, not trained. Remember when I first got promoted at Bell, my father said, don't be a manager if you're not going to stand up for people who work for you who are good people. Because if you don't, then you shouldn't be in management.
Right.
And I always remembered that. But, you know, if people are wrong, you dump all over them.
Right.
But yeah, if people are good people, and also, even if somebody made a mistake and they worked on the show, we were like a little dysfunctional family, you know. It was okay for us to say something to somebody, but who the hell do you think you are coming in as a guest on this show and doing something to somebody who works here? Plus, I thought he was an asshole the moment I met him.
Well, I think it's just some people, you know, he's had fame for quite a while, and I think they lose touch. There's a bump.
That's what I said earlier. If you've never had a real job, if you've only been in show business all your life, you haven't got a clue. You have not got a clue. It's just like I always said to people, don't ever, I tell kids this today too, kids of friends of mine, my nieces, my nephews, don't ever go to work for somebody who never had to worry about a car payment or a mortgage payment or a utility bill. Never. Don't go to work for somebody who's rich and was born rich, because they're never going to understand what you go through.
Right. That's true.
And it's the biggest mistake you can make, you know?
That is true.
The other piece of advice I got was from an uncle of mine who said, if you never tell a lie, you'll never have to remember what you said. And I always did that in my business life. Unfortunately, I didn't do it in my personal life. I wish I had, but you know, that's another truism that still stands today. But loyalty is something that's gone. Companies don't show loyalty to people, so why should people show loyalty to them? Corporations, all the time, dumping people left, right, and center. I mean, just the past 3 weeks, I know of 300 people who lost their jobs.
Right.
And it doesn't matter how good a job you're doing, What matters is somebody else will do your job for less money.
But why, like, well, come closer so I can see your face, because you're come closer to the monitor. You're as black as Al Jolson.
Oh, you know what? Fuck this shit.
No, it's
Because
good.
it's
Now you
because
look
I'm
great.
on a phone.
You went really dark there, and people are going to go in the comments going, "I can't see Mike's face," and I'm like, "Yeah, well, yeah, I know." So, and then you would sit there and go, "Ah, that looked like fucking shit, you idiot." And I was like, "Yeah, I know. I'm, you know." So,
You know what? I can always hold the phone right to my face, but
no, don't. It's fine, Mike. So, um, what was I
if you had
saying?
to know how to do this on a laptop, I'd be on a laptop right now.
Don't worry. I just worry if the next time, I guarantee you, if there is a next time, this will be, the issue will be fixed. I'll personally drive down there, fix the computer. Okay, promise.
All right.
All right, I will.
All right.
Okay, so
Every other time I've done this, somebody sent me a link. I hit the link. I was on. I don't know why you can't work that.
I don't know either. Okay, just leave the phone. It's fine. Okay, you're fine. You look great. Okay, so what the hell was I saying? What was I saying?
I don't know. You lost track.
Yeah, I totally lost track. So
I
no,
was talking about how there's companies show no loyalty to people, so why should people show loyalty to them now?
yeah, but why remember, what was it, about a year and a half ago, Bell Media let go over 500. They let go of,
He did it again this year. Rogers does it too, and neither one's better than the other.
yeah, but they're worth billions of dollars. How do you, like,
Well, you don't qualify it. You don't have to. You know what the problem today is? And I'll tell you what the truth is. Fucking shareholders expect a bigger return than they deserve. And that's all it's about now, is the return to the shareholder, who is a greedy son of a bitch. And you, of course, being a company, are cowardly when it comes to your shareholder. And I guess that's the other issue with public companies owning broadcasting in this country. They only care about the shareholder. I've seen people tossed whose ratings were huge. Unfortunately, they were paid what they were worth. And that's a no-no, you know?
here's the thing, and I don't want to dwell too much about the show, but when did you know that it was just a struggle? Like, all of a sudden the show was just not
It was
working.
a struggle. It was a struggle every day. It's not like the United States, where you got, we had what, 30 people putting a show together every day, where somebody like Letterman and Leno would have 100.
Yeah.
We had one person doing 3 jobs instead of 3 people doing 1 job. And we didn't have the money for stuff. Just simply did not have the money.
Right.
My budget was 29 grand a night, 5 nights a week. I would have to say Leno and Letterman, probably 500,000 a night. And I wasn't unhappy with the 29. But believe me when I tell you, when you got 30 people working on a show, they got to be paid. That also doesn't include air travel for guests, doesn't include hotel, doesn't include food, doesn't include, all these other little perks that come along with it. When somebody comes on a show that you want, like Nicolas Cage was on, giving him room service the 4 Seasons for the weekend, cost us about $8,000.
How much?
Well, because that's how much food he ordered. That's how much stuff he ordered. To get him, we had to pay his room service.
$8 grand?
I think it was around there. I don't know.
All right.
I know it was a lot of money.
Okay, stop.
And sometimes to get people, you had to do it. When you had a big band in, you're talking about flying 5 guys in. That's a lot of money.
You're right.
You're talking about 5 hotel rooms. They don't stay in one room with bunk beds. So yeah, that was kind of tough too. The other thing is you're on every night.
Right.
You're on every single night. You got to have a live studio audience every night. You got to, there's all these other things that have to come into play every single day. Like I said, I never found it tiring, and I got really upset with people who told me they did find it tiring, because it's not a real job.
Right.
But by the same token, there were things with it that I didn't have to tolerate in business when I did other things. And there's a couple of things I find intolerable: dishonesty, sneakiness. I can't tolerate it, and there's a lot of it.
Yes, there is.
I
Yes.
gotta tell you, my brother said a great thing to me once. And David Steinberg said an even better one. But my brother said to me, and that was so funny. He said, in Canada, you can get in to see the head of the network, no problem. And you can hand him or her the greatest idea on the face of the earth. 2 months later, you'll get your idea back with a note that says, couldn't help but notice this on my desk, thought you'd want it back. He said, in the United States, you can't get in to see the decision maker. But if you do, and you have that same idea, and you put it on the desk, you're on the air in 6 weeks. That's the difference between Canada and the US. David Steinberg said to me, I'll tell you the difference between Toronto and LA. In LA, they stab you in the front. In Toronto, they stab you in the back. And you see a lot of that here too. I don't know if it's going on now, but it did then.
Yeah.
I don't know. The other thing is, when you're in Canada, you got to come to terms with the fact that failure in the US pays better than success in Canada. You know, you take a look at a guy like Chevy Chase, who had a talk show for 7 weeks. His payout at the end of 7 weeks was $7 million. Believe me when I tell you, I could be on for 25 years and never make that kind of money.
Right.
In the whole 25 years.
Right.
You know, but that's something else you have to come to terms with. I don't know what people are making now.
Do
You
you
know,
here, sit for a sec. You're making me queasy.
well, I'm going out to have a cigarette.
All right, go have a smoke. Do you miss it, Mike?
No, I did it. I'll tell you, I'd missed it if somebody had done it since and done it better.
Well, no one
But
has.
they haven't. Huh?
No one has.
No. What I really missed was stand up. And thanks to Mark President Yuck Yucks, I'm back doing that. And I'm really happy doing it.
Yeah. No, it is awesome. Mike is he's a sweet guy. I had a coffee with him last week.
I never heard that used, but I will say this. Since he had a kid at 65, he's mellowed a lot. You know, I don't think Mark ever wants to be thought of as a sweet guy, but
He was to me.
I'll tell you one thing about him. He's loyal as hell.
Well,
and he won't tolerate censorship in the clubs. And and his fuck you to cancel culture is just that. Fuck you. You don't like it, get out of this club. And
yeah.
I admire him for that. And the guys who hate him, I don't know. I don't get it. Because basically, Yuck Yucks gave you a platform. That's all they promised you. They promised you a stage. They promised you time on that stage. What you did with that time was up to you. You know, you didn't become a star? Well, gee, that's too bad. But don't blame Mark Breslin for it. You know?
Yeah, that's what Bobby Kelly said.
Well, he's right. You can't blame Mark. What you should be doing is thanking him for building a chain of comedy clubs that gave you opportunity to make a living.
Yeah.
And I was always loyal to them, even when the show was on. My first tours with Yuck Yucks. After that, we went into soft seat theaters every summer. But the first tour was with Yuck Yucks, and that was important to me because I felt like I owed him a thank you. My brother and I both owe him. I'll tell you, there's nothing worse than having a professional sense of humor and not having a place to go with it, winding up being living room funny and the funniest guy at your company. And I'm sure there's some people out there who are like that. And that's how it would have wound up for me and him. And that would have been pretty rough, you know?
Yeah.
And I owe him for the fact that I got a talk show. I owe him for the fact that I got a book. I mean, a lot of that stuff would never have happened if I hadn't had that stage.
Yeah, yeah.
But, you know, I was just talking to a couple of guys. I was playing downtown Toronto on Friday and Saturday night. And I talked to a couple of young guys who were asking me questions. I said, here's how it works. I said, you can sit in your apartment all day and smoke dope and come out and do the same 15 minutes every night. But that's all you're going to wind up doing. It's the same 15 minutes every night in the same place and never advance. I said, don't do it, and don't develop a drinking problem, and work at it. And, you know, you never know where you can go, because a lot of people blame Canada, but you can't blame Canada, because the audiences here are great and the regular people here are great. The critics, the other people, I haven't got a lot of use for. But you can't blame the Canadian public for the position you're in, because if they don't know who you are, it's because you either didn't do something big enough to give them an opportunity to know who you were, or in point of fact, a lot of people who work in the media don't give a shit about comics. One thing I was proud of was helming a show for 8 years and proving to people that stand-up comics are smart and they have a work ethic. Everybody in the States knew that forever, all the way back to 54 when they gave Steve Allen the first late night talk show. But in this country, they gave it to Peter Zowski and Ralph Ben-Mergy. You know, news people.
Yeah, I remember Ralph. What happened to Ralph Ben-Mergy?
Ralph's a great guy. He's been very ill.
Oh,
And I think he's better now. He just wrote a book.
yeah, he had a show for 2 years, and I went and saw the first season, and I remember him talking about how he just wanted to stick it to the critics that said your show isn't going to last one season, and it lasted two. So he was I liked him. He was seemed like a nice guy.
Yeah, it was the same thing with me. I didn't expect it to last longer than a year. I
Really?
didn't say it. I didn't say it. But I was surprised at how quickly it took off.
Right.
And if you think I was surprised, you should have seen CTV's faces. You know, and next thing you know, I'm getting 3-year contracts. But I still think the biggest mistake they ever made was pulling me out of Gretzky's. I didn't want to go to the Masonic Temple. And I was never as happy there as I was the first year at Gretzky's.
Right.
Now, one of the reasons we were out of Gretzky's wasn't just CTV's fault. It was also Gretzky's. It was also the people who owned Gretzky's fault.
Yeah. Well, what was the problem there? Like, what did they want more money?
They were making a fortune while I was doing the show there, because people were either eating and drinking before the show or eating and drinking after.
Right.
And then Gretzky's thought they had a gold mine because of all the people who were coming in. So then they just told us they were going to charge us $5,000 a month the next season, which got CTV's back up, and they bought the Masonic Temple, which was never built as a TV studio. The proper money wasn't put in. The audience wasn't mic'd properly. Whereas at Gretzky's, it was so small that it didn't matter. And I loved being there. It had a thing to it. I don't know. Second City moved in after I left, but it had a certain thing to it that I really liked.
Right.
And I was also worried about the fact that, you know, Letterman didn't move into the Ed Sullivan Theater until he'd been on for 12 years. Me moving into the Masonic Temple made it look like we were too big for our britches, and I was worried about that too. And I said it on numerous occasions, but I had no say in the matter.
Right. Right.
So that kind of bugged me too. But
Seems like you're very meticulous about how you want certain things to run.
if I'd known how easy it is to executive produce a show, I would have executive produced it from day one. But I was like everybody else. Nobody knew anything about late night talk because it had never been done properly. So it was a learning experience for all of us. If I had it to do again now, I'd be the executive producer, because basically what an executive producer does is hire a really good line producer who does everything else, the hiring, the firing, and making sure the trains run on time.
Right.
And that's all you got to do. That's why when you watch a movie or you watch a TV show and you see the star is also the executive producer, rest assured they're not doing fuck all.
Right.
You know. And if you're an executive producer, you're out of the game. You can do whatever you want.
Your voice went all crazy there. Go back up with that. All right, load it, light it up.
This lighter must have been sent to me by you.
Sorry, Mike. I know. Sorry.
No, what I'm saying is that's why you see an actor who's an executive producer on a movie or an executive producer on a TV show they're starring in. Rest assured they're doing fuck all when it comes to executive producing. But they have the title so that they can decide what their rate's going to be, and they don't have to deal with SAG like we have to deal with actor here. And anything else I do from now on, I'm getting a production credit on because I don't want to deal with them.
Right.
My beef with the actor is a lot of actors and actresses in this country pay dues. Producers don't, and they're supposed to protect all those people from producers, and in point of fact, they don't. They're too afraid of the producers. There's a producers guild, and that's a different thing altogether. But
Yeah, it seems to me like it's a club.
producers in this country is a club. There's one or two, and there's some great producers in this country who haven't had the same opportunities. But the big production companies in this country, the one that produced my show is being sued right now in a class action suit. The people who produced Degrassi High sold it to foreign countries, didn't pay those kid actors residuals. And when they were done with that show, other than Drake, there was nothing for them. And they had to sue to get their residuals. And that's not right.
Right.
The other thing is in Canada, when it comes to the TV and film credit people from the government, I don't think anybody audits anything. Which is also strange to me, given where it came from a belt, where every penny was accounted for.
Right.
And that's the part that always struck me as really odd, And it leaves room for people to get away with murder.
Yes.
And those people are not the people you see on the screen.
Yeah, and that's something that I wanted to just touch on. When I Googled your name about media, like you want to talk about media, if you Google, you can do this yourself, people. If I Google Mike Bullard, all that comes up, nothing about show or anything like that. It's just, I mean, Mike, I don't know if you want to go into this. If not, I could.
I've got into it a million times.
Okay, it's just
the bottom line is I didn't do it.
It's nonstop, like it's just nonstop bringing you down. Like it's not.
Yeah. And it's largely Kevin Donovan of the Toronto Star, who still owes me an apology for a false story he wrote. I didn't stalk anybody. And it took 3 years for the truth to come out. And it ruined my life. And I don't want to talk about her. I don't.
Okay, we won't.
But I guess the truth of the matter is I never made friends with those media people. The same friends I have today are the friends I made in high school. I didn't make friends in the business.
But do you think that they saw your success and thought, because it just seems to me like they're not, like no one's coming to your defense. Like no.
James D. Fiore wrote a story that was in 2 papers that told the truth. And it finally turned my life around. And he's a great guy. And I got a book deal on what happened to me. And when that book comes out, it's going to sell. And it's not an attack on the Me Too movement, but it's an attack on the dark side of the Me Too movement, which takes innocent people down and doesn't give a shit. And I'm looking forward to it coming out. And I think it's pretty tragic when we live in a world where defending yourself is called mansplaining.
Yes.
When defending yourself against lies, and they were lies. And mansplaining. And the book will be all-encompassing. It'll take care of a lot of things. And the publisher's pretty big time. Book's coming out in April. It'll be done by the end of January. I work on it every day. And so does James D. Fiore. He's co-writing it with me. And I let him handle the court transcript part, which tells the truth, which was never printed in the paper. About things that were thrown out because the judge thought they were horse shit. And he thought the complainant and her friends were liars. And said it in chambers to my lawyer and the Crown attorney, who's a monster. I think the bottom line was they feel like Ghomeshi got away. And this Crown attorney thought, good, well, I'll just take Mike Bullard down instead.
Well, I remember working the car show, and when the whole thing with Gian Ghomeshi happened, I thought he was guilty of sin the way the media brought it out. He was, I remember a giant poster, huge poster, at the CBC. You could see it, and they were ripping it down. And I just thought, good, get rid of the guy. He's, he did all these horrible things. And then you find out that no, he was with this psychopath. And Diane Davison, you know her, she did a great, I did a great show with her about what happened to Gameshi, and the man's career is just utterly destroyed, you know.
She, I have love and affection for Diana forever because she stepped up for me.
Yeah.
But for me to have any respect for mainstream media in this country anymore, especially newspapers, in particular the Toronto Star, and Kevin Donovan, to me, is a scumbag and a liar, is pretty disturbing. But you know what? That's the way I feel now. And if James D. Fiore hadn't written the truth, and if I hadn't been on Dean Blundell's podcast for, I don't know, 4 hours, 2 days later.
Yeah, it was, you were tired. You were getting tired.
Wasn't tired. I hadn't done anything for 5 years. You got to understand, my life was frozen for 5 years.
Yeah.
And I practically had a gag order. And when my lawyer, who's a friend of mine, called me and said, you got to go on Facebook tomorrow and tell the truth. Once I did it, everything started falling into place. You know, and I had people on social media who knew me and didn't anymore. And anyone else who knew me and had been my friend forever knew that there was no way in the world. You talk to any waitress at Yuck Yucks, you talk to any female comic, I was always the most consummate gentleman. Talk to people I worked with, I was always a gentleman. And never, ever went where I wasn't wanted. This situation has gone into in great detail in the book. What happened? And my advice to any guy out there right now is somebody breaks up with you once and calls you to get back together, don't do it.
Well,
you do it 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, there's something wrong.
Well,
and if you go back, you need your head examined.
I know you don't want to talk about it, but real quick, there was a man, I remember you saying he was having a smoke outside, and your ex, whatever, she drove away with your car with another drunken.
No, it wasn't her. It was a friend of hers, Avery Haynes.
A friend of hers, but
her drunk life partner got in my car and drove it hammered down Yorkville Avenue.
Right. And who was it that said stay away from that? Like, that's just a bad.
Somebody I worked with at News Talk 1010 said you got to get out of this as quick as possible.
Right.
Unfortunately, I didn't listen.
Yes, and that's happened to me, Mike. I mean, I had friends say, dude, this girl's not good. And what freaked me out was, I remember the third year when we were, together, and my parents, it was kind of like they had an intervention with me. And it was the first time ever. And my mom and dad were just, my dad especially, he was just like, son, listen, you're a good looking dude. I used to be a good looking dude. He goes, you're a good looking dude. Do me a favor, find another girl, please. Because they could see that this is going to be a horrible road.
My mother was deeply disturbed and kept telling me, there's something wrong here. You shouldn't be with this person. And
but your mind.
When Donovan wrote the phony stalking story in the paper, my mother was dead 3 days later of a heart attack.
When you told me that was when I talked to Mike, he's always whispering because he's at the library doing work. And when you told me that, I'm so sorry. Like, that's
you know what? She was 83, and she was never a happy person after my father died. But let's just say that story contributed. And I don't know, the world I come from, if I ever bump into this guy, it ain't going to be pretty. And the Toronto Star retracted the entire story. but it was on page 300. Nobody saw it.
That's what
As
I'm
far as I
talking
can
about. That's what I mean by this should have been front page news. Like there should have been a story on CBC all about this, an hour-long
Oh, they're
special.
not going to do it.
They're
They're not
not
going to
going to
do
do
it
it. They're not going to,
because
you know,
it's either because they're not ethical or they won't do it because they're too afraid of this Me Too movement. They're just too afraid of them. And some of them have been told to go out and find Me Too stories, not report on them, go out and find them. And mine was not a Me Too story because even if I'd done what I was accused of doing, which was obscene phone calls, the part that killed me was there was a break in my court proceeding. And I went to the courtroom next door and I watched a guy who was a plumber.
yes, yeah,
This was not reported on in the paper, who had kicked in his girlfriend's front door, knocked out her front teeth. And I watched this fucking guy get a peace bond while I'm going through 2.5 years of hell for so-called obscene phone calls. And then I ran out of money. I mean, I don't even want to give you the sum it cost me because it's embarrassing. And I had to plead out. That's what they want you to do.
yeah.
And they threw out the obstruction of justice. They threw out the stalking. And they left me with a couple of obscene phone calls called harassing phone calls, which I had to plead out on, which I wish I hadn't done.
Yeah, I know, but
But
your lawyer told you that if you want to keep going, Mike, it's going to
it's
cost
120
20
grand.
grand.
I need 120 grand right now.
Yeah,
And that's the position they put you in,
yeah,
and you had a Crown attorney, and I've said this, and I have yet to be sued, who was partying with Mulligan and Haynes and their friends from the moment I got arrested. And a Crown attorney does not represent the complainant. They represent the public.
yeah.
How she got away with that is beyond me. You know,
Well, that's what I
and this is
mean. I
from the
mean,
moment.
I would be, I don't believe in conspiracy theories, but I believe just how the way things worked out with you. It was somebody hated you and wanted to destroy you.
Yeah, the Crown attorney.
Yeah.
Actually, she slipped up to my lawyer once and said she never liked me. Never liked anything I did, TV, radio, anything.
Oh, that's what I don't understand.
But
Because
I also think it's because they felt John Gameshi got away with it.
yeah, but he didn't get away with it. He got destroyed. His career's
I know he
done.
did. I know he did. And, I never thought, like this whole BSM or whatever it's called, I don't go for this at all. You know what I mean? To me, sex alone should be enough, and I don't care if a woman wants you to hit her. I don't care if she wants you to pull her hair. It ain't coming from me. And the part, I wasn't entirely sure he was guilty. But I did know that when I heard about all this stuff, this culture out there, that I didn't want any part of it.
I
And
know,
I didn't like him. I didn't like him because he was.
but Mike, that was his. I'm not into that either. I mean, if a girl slaps my ass, it's not my thing.
Yeah.
I never understood that. Never understood that. But that was his kink. Everybody's got kinks.
Yeah.
So that turned him on, and the public they heard about the pulling of the hair, the slapping, and they said, "How dare you hit a woman?" But that's what she wanted. She got off on it.
Yeah, but in my,
Mike,
where I come from, if she wants it, tell her to get it somewhere else.
that's what I would do too.
Yeah.
But that was his kink, but that does not deserve what the hell they put him.
The only person in mainstream media who told the truth was Christy Blatchford, and sadly she's dead now.
Yeah.
I often wished she had written about what happened to me, and she probably would have, because Mulligan was scared shitless of her for some reason. She thought Christy didn't like her, and then I saw the two of them in a room once, and I realized Christy didn't.
Hey,
But
you thought the world was against you, but I mean, when you went out and you do shows, as soon as you go out there, you get a standing ovation. People love you.
Yeah, I think, I mean, for Blundell's thing, it wound up being hundreds of thousands of people who watched it. And when James wrote those stories in those two papers, the Peel News told me that it was the highest number they ever had because it's an online paper and it hit, like, last I heard, it hit 350,000 people.
Right.
You take that into account, given the fact that nobody I know reads the Star. I mean, that thing is on its way out. And I wonder if more people know I didn't than did, you know? And it's kind of a good thing. And it's never come up in a club, never come up in a theater. It's never come up at all. I've had most people walk up to me and go, I can't believe the hell you went through.
Yeah, I know.
Or tell me their story.
Yeah. Like,
I mean,
I
I'll tell you one thing. I don't let it impact my opinion of women.
no, but
And I don't judge women by it. And secondly, to that, I don't expect to be judged by the evil that men have done.
no,
You know,
I know, Mike, but well, like, I understand what you're saying, but it's gotten to the point where you have to apologize for shit that you didn't even do.
yeah, I know it's crazy.
Like, that's the thing, that it's kind of, you're being pressured to say, just plead guilty to this. And it's like, if that was me, dude, I don't got 120 grand to blow. Like, I've already blown a fortune on a lawyer. God knows, I don't even want to know the amount it must have cost you. But to get hit with, listen, just plead, just do these two pleads. And you know that it's just, you're going to lose your fucking house, if you go to court.
Yeah.
So,
I lost it anyway. But
yeah, I know. And it sucks, Mike. Like, it absolutely, I don't understand this culture that we live in where, I get off when I see people succeed. Some I can't stand, but others I root for, and I go, that's awesome. I'm glad this
Yeah.
person deserves it. But we live in this sort of, the media seems to just, they want negative. They want, no,
Yeah, they do.
don't print the good stuff. I want you to print about, him driving his bike up and down Bloor Street, whatever. I mean, I mean, if you just Google it, there's nothing but, just horrible stories, which
Listen,
are all been redacted.
I just lost Massey Hall New Year's Eve over this.
Did you really?
Yeah. There's three women on the board at Massey Hall who are the deciders when it comes to who sets foot
That's
in
what I
Massey Hall.
mean, Mike. Like,
Yeah.
like that is horrible, because I was supposed to be his opening act. You lost Massey Hall?
Yeah, for New Year's Eve. But you know what? I got London. I'm fine. But I mean, the fact that three people, it's a venue. That's all it is a venue. There was a guy, Andrew Schultz, who just got canceled out of there because of these three. And he just sold out 3 shows at a bigger venue in Toronto. And it was because they didn't like his material. Well,
Yes.
I got news for you. You're a fucking venue, and that's all you are. And people, you book somebody in the venue, and people will buy tickets or they won't.
Yes.
And that's how you decide whether that person was good for your venue. That's it.
But you know what it seems like? It just seems like, and this has happened where, and I've seen it happen. Somebody has a vendetta against you, sees this stuff, and it just takes one. You remember in the 80s how at a comedy club, if somebody got offended, I remember working in Windsor, Yucks, it was me, Jostle, who the hell else? Anyways, and this woman went to the front screaming and yelling, and it was an awesome show. There were 300 people. I remember her screaming and yelling to the manager at the door. She doesn't like the show, doesn't like the headliner there. And the manager just said, I'm sorry to hear that. Take care. Bye. And
Well,
these,
that's still the attitude of Yuck Yucks, which I love.
I'm glad, because these days it takes one person to just
Yeah.
go, No, go to the front. They complain. And I mean, my God, man, they're jokes. I mean, not
Um,
not everything you're gonna laugh at. I mean, they're
well, I blame social media for all of it.
it's but it's
Andy Warhol said you were going to get your 15 minutes, and now everybody's getting their 15 minutes. And because of social media, they think their 15 minutes is more important than anybody else's. And that's why they've all come out of the woodwork. And social media is the reason that all these people are running scared. So I
do
don't
you
know. My attitude, I'm not changing a thing I do. Nothing.
no, don't.
On Saturday night after the first show, somebody said to me, "Wow, you really went after that guy." I said, "Yeah, and I'll continue to." I'm not changing what I do. I was never an inappropriate person, and that's it.
No, but you were incredibly, I mean, if you ever seen Mike Bullard, you were incredibly witty, man. I mean, you're like playing, I would hate to play a chess game with you.
Yeah, but the thing is, when I get on there, a switch goes off in my head, and I'm not allowing anybody else to fuck with that switch in my head.
Right,
I'm not allowing what I read. I'm not allowing what somebody says to me to fuck with that switch in my head. I
right,
don't put that switch under a microscope. I never will. I don't subject that switch to analysis, and I never will.
good.
And that's it. I think Dave Chappelle and Bill Burr have done everybody a huge favor. And if you're smart, you'll take a page from their book, which is, hey, I'm here for the people who came to see me,
Yeah, but do you
not
see
for
the,
the one who came to hope I said something they didn't like.
I know, but did you see when Chappelle said, listen, I will not be summoned by you. Um, I will not bend the knee to you. And you got to admit one thing, Hannah Gadsby is not funny, which I thought was hilarious.
So
Um,
did I.
like you wish if there was 30 more people like him that can do that, but we live in a day and age of fear, Mike, where
Well, we also live in a day and age where guys like Bill Burr and Dave Chappelle are worth a lot of money.
well
And
they got
if
what
something they say gets them canned for the rest of their lives, they're going to be just fine.
yes, exactly. That's what I was about to
So
say.
I understand when other guys go, I can't do that
Yes.
because I don't have that kind of money and I can't afford it.
Yeah.
And it's really easy for somebody who's worth 25 mil to say, fuck you.
Yeah.
Really,
Yeah.
you know?
It's called I got fuck you money. And
Yeah.
because the guy asked me, he goes, how can Dave Chappelle do that? Like go on stage, have a cigarette. Um, and I'm like, the man's worth almost 100 million. He doesn't care.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, when you've got that under your belt, it's kind of like you can't hurt me.
No, you
You
can't
know,
do anything to me. You can't hurt my family, you know? And I'm going to go back to my farm and live like a king tomorrow
yeah,
morning.
yeah. That's well, he used to. I remember he gave a break when he lost a little bit. He took off to Africa, but he came back and he just drove tractor. You know,
Well, that was after the Comedy Central show.
yeah, yeah,
And I get that too, because, man, that was 2 seasons. And then Showbiz came knocking on his door big time and he was nervous. And I kind of get it because he didn't want to sell out. And now the thing with stand up is when you're a certain kind of stand up,
smoke time.
yes, you're just not equipped. You're just not equipped to sell out. If you do a certain kind of stand up, you're not going to do it. And that's the kind of stand up he does. And people have expectations of you when you've done a certain kind of thing all your life. You're not all of a sudden going to stop doing that, regardless of what cancel culture says. And let me tell you something. I'll guarantee you, I don't need to see a study. 99% of people are done with these cancel culture people.
Oh, they are.
Everybody I talk to when I leave a club talks to me about it and they bring it up. I don't. I am so fucking sick of this. So fucking sick of that.
Yes. Well, I think in about 10 years from now, if not sooner, people are going to look back at this time and go, this was an embarrassing time. It really is.
Well, these people in their 20s and 30s who are now in charge of what the rest of us get to see and hear, I guarantee you their kids are going to hate their guts and think they're pussies. Because that's what's going to happen. The generation next is going to go, what the hell is this? What the hell did my parents do?
Here's an example. I got an English neighbor. Okay. And I just said to him, I go, hey, Tone, you got a fag?
Mm,
And my daughter heard that. And my daughter just flipped on me. It said, Dad, you can't say that word. You cannot say that. We can't call him that. I go, do you not understand? In England, they call cigarettes fags.
yeah.
So I go, I was just, and he laughed, and we both laughed. He knew what I was talking about. So it's
It's
just,
not like you said, can I bum one?
but you know what? I kind of I kind of explained to her, listen, don't let that shit that you watch on TV get in your brain and poison you, sweetie. You know.
Yeah.
And she wrote
You're
this.
mad when you called her sweetie?
Well, no, she wrote this lovely letter. I have it over there. This letter saying, thank you for showing me, because I show movies, my movies that I like, and I explained to her, when you're watching a show, you could totally see that this is propaganda. Do you not see what they're doing? They're
Yeah.
they're shoving it down your throat, and they're hitting you when you're young. Okay.
Listen, I was writing a chapter yesterday about when I was a kid, and I said in the chapter, I wouldn't trade the year I was born in for anything.
No,
Because
Mike.
when I was a kid, a bully didn't get to sit at a laptop
Yeah.
and anonymously attack you.
Well,
A bully
that's
had
the,
a bully had to have the stones to walk up to you, and that's when you decided you were a mouse or a man.
well, that's the problem. Everybody thinks I'm incredibly violent, which I can be. Okay. But um that's what I don't like, is you have anonymous people attacking you. And I talked to a buddy about this, and he goes, who cares? They're just morons. They're nobodies. And the only thing that's saving them, Mike, is that they're not standing in front of you, because a person will never talk to you like that
No way.
in a parking lot. They would never speak to you like that.
No.
Okay. But if they're out in the middle of, whatever, you don't even know. You don't even know if it's their real name or whatever. I mean, my daughter was crying one day, and she said somebody said this to her I go, I want you off of that bloody machine. All right. Don't listen to these idiots. Just
Yeah.
don't, I mean, we all of a sudden, Mike, it just seems like it's gang up culture.
Well, it is. And if it's a pretty tragic time when somebody can attack a kid for making a little mistake on the internet and that kid winds up killing himself.
Yes. And that's
And
that.
it's happened too often.
Yes.
And it goes, and the same holds true for journalism now. There's no such thing anymore.
No, to me, it seems like the journalists what are they called? Who said it best? Journalists are now content creators. Like they
do.
like, I remember growing up, this sounds, but who were the guys that, who did the news? Now, Walter Cronkite, of course, that's beyond my time, but it used to be, there was no opinion piece. It used to be just the news.
And
I could remember.
when they did give their opinion, it was to right a wrong.
Right. But you remember how the news was, where it was just, it was like, this is the news, this is the way it is, blah, blah, blah. That's it.
The only reason I listen to 680 is because all they do is report news. They don't have any opinions. I don't want to hear daytime talk on radio. I don't want to hear any of it. I want to get the news, form my own opinions. I'm not going to regurgitate what somebody else said on CNN or Fox News and make it sound like it was a pearl of wisdom that came out of my mouth.
Yes.
I just want to hear the news and make up my own mind.
Yes.
Now, the problem is can I even trust the news?
Yes.
Because it's gotten to the point now where can I even trust what I'm hearing?
And that's terrifying. Like, that's the thing that's the thing that bothers me the most. Where I talk,
It's pretty sad when the only true news is coming out of a late night talk show host's mouth,
yes,
you know?
that
And
is that, and you know why, like, where a Bill Maher can get away with it is people will just sit there and go, well, he's a comedian.
yeah, he's also a damn smart guy.
But he can get away, like they will say, like, you don't need to take him that serious. He's just a comedian, you know,
Yeah.
uh, uh, which is a good and bad thing. I remember a time when, I don't know if you remember, but I remember being about 14. Like, I never used to watch the news because I could care less, because it was always weird seeing somebody going, a reporter going, and today 5 people were shot dead. Hey, Mary, how about the weather? And, she would talk about the weather. I always thought it was cold, just it threw me off. But then one day I remember this is when CNN was CNN. It was the most trusted name in news, where you would sit there and you would watch it and you'd want to know what was going on in Israel or what was going on in Africa, and it was
Yeah.
like it was cool. Like, you're like, this is the news.
I feel bad about Cuomo being gone from CNN because I really liked him. And I thought he was a smart guy. I don't know why Anderson Cooper's a star of CNN and he wasn't. But I'll tell you, I never thought I'd live in a world where I would hate Sean Hannity and Don Lemon equally.
Well, I don't. Don Lemon just seems like, I don't know. He's another story. But with Cuomo, I don't know. I'm not a fan of Cuomo because he was kind of helping his brother.
Well, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about beforehand.
Okay, all right.
Cuomo's show was smart and
Which
it was civilized, and he allowed people who were not on side with his opinion to give theirs. And that is what I liked about Chris Cuomo. He was a lawyer first and foremost, and that's how he treated the show. People got their say, even if they disagreed with him. Don Lemon and Sean Hannity are flip sides of the same coin. Liars and people I can't watch. I just can't watch.
But do you see how? But you know what's really weird, Mike? And I'm not a Chris Cuomo fan. I don't like the guy. For my, I won't get into it why. But now it just seems like my network is going against your network. You understand? It's
Yeah.
not, let's do the news. It's
Oh.
Fox goes up against CNN. CNN goes up against Fox. They're attacking each other.
Their concern is not the audience. Their concern is what's going on in the next farmer's field.
Well, what it turns into wrestling.
Yeah.
Without the wrestling, you're watching people fight. And meanwhile, I tell this to everybody, these people know each other. Like, they know each other. You're being played. Okay. Just, that's why I think people are, more people are losing their mind than ever, because you don't know what the hell to trust. I mean,
Yeah.
I
Like the polarization in the country now, over COVID vaccination. Well, there's no reason to hate the unvaccinated if you've been vaccinated. Fuck them. I've been vaccinated. I don't care if you get it. I got it done. So I'm okay. And if you don't want to do it, that's your decision.
Well, I got it done because my parents are very old and I want to see them, and I don't want to give them COVID.
But if you made the decision not to see your parents and not get vaccinated, that's your thing, not mine.
No, but I don't want them to get sick and then me going,
right,
it was me.
You don't want them exposed to anybody.
Right, exactly. I mean,
I agree with that. But then you got a guy, this, what's his name, Chris Sky, going around the country. Another asshole born with a silver spoon up his ass, doing this anti-vax stuff across the country to try and make himself a star, because that's basically what it's all about. I know an egomaniac when they see one on television. God knows I've been exposed to enough of them. And, I see that and I just shake my head. But, you know, as far as I'm concerned, my whole life's always been about live and let live. But you better agree that I should be able to live the way I want to live. And that's something else that's gone right out the window. Now it's live and live my way. Well, fuck you. You know,
Yeah.
and someone very close to me I would like to see vaccinated and isn't. But I don't say anything about it because I love her too much.
Right. Of course. Yeah.
You know, but
I understand why there is that. Um, okay.
she's not anti-vax. She's afraid something's going to happen to her.
Yes, and that's my friend. My friend, who he kind of, he's black, and he just does not trust. He just doesn't trust the needle. Okay, and what happened? He saw what the government in what was it, the 50s or 60s did to black people, and he's like, I'm not getting a needle. I'm not.
Yeah, the Tuskegee stuff with the VD
But
syphilis.
that's what goes in people's minds is this is something bad is going to happen, or they report. It's very weird that the news will sit there, get vaccinated, and then they go, and then they'll talk about this person had a horrible reaction. They had a heart attack getting the needle, and that freaks people out.
Yeah.
That just like, I don't understand. It's like, get the vax. But some people, hey, some 6-year-old died after getting the needle. Very odd. And that puts the fear in me. I remember when getting my kids vaccinated, I teared up, Mike, because I remember being they made a hockey rink. You went in there, you had your mask on, and I'm bringing them up and I'm going, please, I hope that whatever is injected into them does not, when they have kids, their kids don't have 3 eyes. Because your mind is going, I'm getting.
Yeah, but I'll tell you, my best friend since grade 9 is a great doctor. And I'll take his take on this stuff before anybody else's.
Oh, I
And
asked my doctor. I asked him and he goes, yes, you could, of course get vaccinated. But um but it's always, what if something bad happens years later?
yeah,
That's my worry. For me, I'm not going to have any more kids. I'm not. It's done. But just for my kids' sake, I just hope that nothing weird happens, because that's what worries me. you
yeah.
know that's all. But how do you
All
spend
right, buddy. Listen, man, I
yes,
think we better wrap it up.
yes, how are things going to, like, do you ever see that, do you ever think that you'll ever get back to Mike Bullard being Bullard again?
Yeah, there's something happening right now that I'm not allowed to talk about.
Okay,
It's TV related, so I'm pretty excited about it. And it's probably going to get rolling by January. So I'm pretty excited about that. And I'm very excited about the book.
good.
But what I'm most excited about is feeling great walking into clubs again
Well,
and theater.
people love you, Mike, and I think
I did downtown Toronto on Friday and Saturday for the first time in God knows how long. And when I walked in on Friday, I don't get nervous when I do a show. I get excited. And on Friday, when I walked in, I felt a little bit of nervousness and it made me really uncomfortable. But by the time I'd been on for 5 minutes, it was gone.
yeah.
And Saturday, I went in and did 2 shows and I was excited as hell. And
Well,
that's how I like to feel when I walk into a club.
what
And
I
by the way, that's the difference between an amateur and a pro. And that's the difference between a pro and a jaded pro. If you don't get excited when you walk in, stop doing it. You
well,
know?
I think what you needed. I mean, I remember you said something that was really hard when you just said, the hell that you've been going through for 5 years. That I'm not going to mention the name. Said, can we? I need a hug. and you were like, man, I've needed a hug for like 5 years,
Yeah.
and I just think that how media, how they've treated you is disgusting, Mike. Okay.
Yeah, but it's disgusting to a lot of people, and that's more their opinion is more important to me than these fucking scumbags
Okay.
like Kevin Donovan, you know? And and it's really nice to know that people weren't fooled. And
Oh,
that
they're
that makes
not.
me
Like
really happy.
people come out and see you. They know that you're, yeah, I'm not saying this to kiss your ass or whatever. Yeah, I know that you're a good guy. I've worked the clubs. Everybody that's been there, that have worked with you always say awesome things about you. They never say, you've always been a perfect gentleman. You've always been a great tipper. Um, you've always been a sweetheart. Okay. So
Yeah.
it's very, um, it's hard
What
to
I'm
watch.
more careful in now is my personal life, and I'm gonna continue to be,
Yes, you have to be. You
you
have
know?
to be.
I mean,
Okay.
I had to bump into this person at 57 instead of 27. Nice, you know?
Yeah.
Anyway, thanks,
Okay.
buddy.
Listen, folks, um, thanks. Again, Mr. Mike Bullard. Mike, thank you so much. I know today was a pain in the ass with the whole thing,
It's
but
all technical. It's not you, it's all technical. I hate this stuff.
I appreciate it. And hopefully one day I'm going to be working with you.
I hope so too, pal. Thanks, Vito.
Thanks, Mike.
All right, buddy. Have a good day.